see what we can get out here. Well, these these games are getting up in specs. Oh, by the way, hello viewers. It's nighttime. What time is it? 9:31. Okay, so you want the Rise of Ronin system requirements and system requirements, right? Demands upscaling. Listen to this at every level. Huge storage space demands are just a small part of the minimum and recommended space specs, which also prominently lists unspecified upscaling. What are the Rise of the Ronin system requirements? Storage space will undoubtedly be the biggest blocker for many PC gamers hoping to play Rise of the Ronin. Beyond this mention of upscaling and the system requirements are a red flag, especially when it is present in the recommended tier. You are going to need one of the best SSD for gaming to get the optimal performance out of Rise of the Ronin. While other games have large file size, this samurai RPG might be in the top 1% on Steam alongside games like God of War Ragnarok, 190 gigs, and DCS Worlds 200 gigs. So what's the requirement? So what you're going to need is Windows 10 or Windows 11. This is the minimum. 1080p 30 FPS. Intel Core i5 10400, AMD Ryzen 5 1600, CPU NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060, AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT, video RAM 6 gigs / 8 gigs, right? That's for 6 gigs for the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060 and 8 gigs for AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT. Now storage for this game, 180 gigs SSD, RAM 16 gigs. Now recommended is 1080p 60 FPS, standard upscaled, Windows 10 or later, meaning Windows 11, Intel Core i5 10600K, AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super, and AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. Now 8 gigs of video RAM for the GeForce RTX 2080 Super and 12 gigs for the AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. And it says 180 gigs of NVMe SSD, 16 gigs of RAM. Yeah. It says take your, and then it says here, take your Rise of the Ronin system requirement PC benchmark test. To answer the question, can I run Rise of the Ronin? The Rise of the Ronin requirements are raising some red flags, while at face value they look on par with many other modern 3D games. An additional note on the Steam storage page makes clear that meeting the requirements still might not be enough for good performance. You'll need a GeForce GTX 1060, AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT with paired an Intel Core i5 10400 or AMD Ryzen 5 1600. Even if you meet these requirements, you can only expect to play the game on the lowest graphical settings at 1080p and 30 FPS. With upscaling to complicate matters further, the GTX 1060 doesn't even support DLSS, meaning it would be stuck either using FSR or an in-game resolution upscaler. Says worse still, the specific level of upscaling isn't detailed, meaning it could be as severe as performance on FSR, which is 2x scaling, and means the input resolution would be 960 by 540 on a 1080p monitor. This wouldn't be as severe at 4K, where the input resolution would be 1080p, although image quality would still suffer as a result. Then it says it is similar to this. It is a similar story for the Rise of the Ronin recommended specs, where you'll need an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super or AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT alongside an Intel Core i5 10600K or AMD Ryzen 5 5600X. Here you can expect 60 FPS at 1080p using the standard graphics profile, but upscaling is once again a reference. The last game to make similar demands was Monster Hunter Wilds, which is currently struggling massively for performance on PC, in large parts due to lack of optimization and over-reliance on upscaling and frame generation. Says here, now for the remarkable Rise of the Ronin downsize, this game comes in at 180 gigs with an SSD required. That is nothing. 180 gigs is nothing. It says here, while some of the other game mentioned earlier have a bigger file size, they don't have a strict SSD requirement. Moving up, an NVMe drive is specifically requested for a recommended tier, and in the notes on the Steam store page, it stated that poor SSD performance may affect gameplay. And it says, while Rise of the Ronin will undoubtedly look best on PC thanks to 8K resolution support, ray tracing, NVIDIA DLSS, AMD FSR implementation with frame generation included, the storage space requirement is still quite the commitment for those who already worked with limited space. That is nothing. Look, it says if you're in the market for a graphics card but can't choose which one to buy, read our AMD RX 9070 XT review and NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080. Look, 180 gigs is nothing on a desktop or a laptop. It's nothing. When it comes to PC games, whether a laptop or a desktop, every PC gamer should know that when you're playing games on PC, you can't be stagnant. So you have to keep your PCs up to date, up to speed, up to specs, up to par when it comes to running games. So 180 gigs is nothing when it comes to PC gaming. There are games that are bigger than that. PC games then have a tendency to exaggerate things. You got expansion cards with that has multiple supports for SSD. So you can put any size, you can put whatever size hard drive you want on a desktop and a laptop if you want. So that's not even an issue. And then with laptop now you have those Oculink ports now for external GPU support. So a laptop can have external GPU support. So when it comes to PC, man, you have to keep your PC. You always got to keep updating your PC. That's why when you get one, like for instance, let's say you got the latest AMD graphics card that supports FSR 4. You're good. So yeah, you gotta keep your PCs up to date, man, if you want to run the latest games at the recommended speeds. Sometimes people complain when they're talking about performance issue. Sometimes it's an exaggeration, and sometimes you gotta take a step back and says, is this really worth getting mad over? So yeah, or getting upset over, so yeah. But when it comes to gaming on PC, man, your PC's got to be up to code, man. Yeah. You got to get you a nice motherboard that holds a lot of RAM on it. Probably one of them Asus ROG motherboards. Get you a nice graphics card. Of course, get you a nice SSD. Yeah, got to do that. Got to buy a couple of them, 4 or 5 of them. Yeah. Get you a nice sound card, all that. Yeah. Nice size monitor. Yeah. That supports 8K, or yeah. And take it from there. So yeah, that's how you got to be when it's on PC. Man, you have to keep your PCs up to date. So when I look at this specs, I mean, it ain't even like, I'm like, when I look at all this, it's like 16 gigs of RAM. That is nothing. That is nothing, you know. 16 gigs of RAM. That's on the main board. We're not even talking. And then you need 6 gigs of video RAM. All you can do, what you do is get a video card that has like say 24 or higher, you know. Yeah. And then take it from there. So yeah, you have to keep your PCs up to date, man. When you're it's kind of like PCs are like cars. Gotta keep adding things to it if you want to get the best performance out of it, you know. So yeah. But other than that, man, Rise of the Ronin. When is this thing coming? Let's see here. When is this coming out? Let's see. When is this thing coming? Any date? When is this? I think it's out. When is this thing coming? Doesn't say. But yeah, to play games in the high competitive field of PC gaming. Just like how you update your car with the latest with the latest features, that's how you do your PC. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, those Star Wars Star Trek thing. Dark side. Go. Peace.